What's up? What's up? Button us up here. All right. We had a little technical difficulty, kind of pushing us a few minutes behind, but we are here and we are ready to talk some numbers, baby. Some numbers. Let me just make sure everything's on and ready to go. Got my stuff pulled up. I'm pretty excited to talk about this today. So give me 1 second and we'll get started. I know a bunch of you guys have messaged me for the KPI trackers and stuff on Messenger. So if you are wanting that here, just make sure you drop, let's just drop KPI here, right, in the chat. And I'll make sure that I'll add some links and stuff and we can shoot everybody some DMs. It is in school, or will be. This new, what I've done is I put everything together. That will be in school. I double checked. We got some stuff like in different places inside school, inside the resources. And I was like, oh, okay, let's make it a little easier. So let's do this. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Give me something. Give me something good. I see John in Cali. I don't know why we're in Cali, buddy. We got to get out of California. Jeremy's in Wisconsin. Yeah, dude, let's rock and roll. So I know I was given some time. Can we get a Power Path hat too? John, I owe you a Power Path hat. I thought I was going to see you in Nashville, but I see that maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. We haven't really talked about that, have we? But I owe you a nice sweatshirt too, like a nice Power Path sweatshirt. So, you know. All right. So I want to start. Okay. What's interesting is, like we said, hey, we're going to run KPIs. We're going to do this on a training. But what is really interesting is I've had a lot of calls over the last week and a half over KPIs. Like, what should we be tracking? What about this? What about that? And I don't want you tracking stuff that doesn't make any sense, right? Everything is important. But when you look at tracking like KPIs, key performance indicators, what are we actually, like, what matters, right? Like, what is it that we should be tracking that matters to the business growth? So key performance indicators are the most important things to drive the business in the right direction, right? So whatever our goals are, obviously it's always to increase revenue. Maybe you have a goal around, how many properties you want to manage, what your top line revenue is for the hotel, for a certain property. Maybe you have one STR and you're like, I want to track KPIs around this one, but I have no idea where to start. That is, like, whatever we're tracking needs to be a direct reflection of, like, what it is that we're growing, like, right? Like that's what we need to ultimately get to. Day in RevPAR, yes, you could track RevPAR. Like, at a lower level, a lot of people don't really fully understand like what RevPAR is. So if you just look at higher end, like gross, you could track clean fees. Like, that's something that needs to be technically tracked, but that's like in a different Excel sheet type deal. Because clean fees, like, you can take in 12 or 15K on an STR, but you're doing nothing but 1 and 2 night stays, and like half of it's clean fees, right? But like, we're not going there. We're not going there. So anyways, we want to track the things that are really important. So things that are important but are not a direct relation to like the growth of your company. Reviews, or the growth of a hotel. Reviews, yes, are very important. But like, do we really need to sit there on a meeting to say, hey, where are we taking to the next level? And say, well, we've got this review that needs to be responded to, this review. No, that isn't a separate meeting. That's like an ops meeting to say, like, hey guys, like, what's going on? What are the problems that we're having? How do we conquer that? Do we need to be tracking KPIs around how fast our team is responding to guests? Like, no, like, yes, that's part of their job, but like, to track that in a KPI sheet, I'm going to say don't waste your time there. Like, don't, yes, focus on it. I'm not saying it's not important. There are metrics like, say, hey, guests need to be responded to within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Like, yes, but is it worth the energy to put it into a KPI tracker to say our business is going in the right direction? Probably not. Like, some of you probably disagree, but I'm just going to say probably not, right? I don't do that. I do get escalation messages, like, if this person wasn't responded to in 15 minutes, there's a message, and we want to know why they haven't been responded to. That is just an operations thing. So some of this stuff may fall in operations. Some of this stuff is going to fall in like KPI metrics. So if you are sending out, you could literally track KPIs for everything. But like, I want to get to like really the nitty gritty of what drives the business in the right direction. Now, if you are trying something new in your business, you can track KPIs around that just to see if it's working, like marketing emails. So like we actually track marketing emails. So like inside PowerPath, so full transparency, inside PowerPath, we have a marketing, like we send out Monday motivation. We send out stuff for this training. Like we send out those emails every week, and we track to see who, not who, but like how many people opened it and how many people clicked, right? And what you can track is you can say like, so-and-so did like, this subject line opened way more emails. Interesting. This subject opened way more emails. Interesting. But what about like once they open them, did they click? So then you have like your CTAs or your call to actions inside. You can do the exact same thing around emails that are going out for guests to have returns, like to do return visits. So if you're using like GoSQL marketing, if you're using StayFi, if you're doing a CRM inside of like MailJet or MailChimp or something like that, like you could track that. And you say, hey, we're going to start pushing these promos. And so then you could have like a little discount code. And you run how many people actually use the discount code, how many people are returning, how many people opened them. And you can like track that all the way down and say like, well, this hook worked, or this CTA worked, or this hook didn't work, right? Like you could track that all the way through. So you could track KPIs around that. And those KPIs would be, what are the ones that are like leading the growth of your email marketing? Maybe it's your subject line, maybe it's your hook, maybe it's your story, maybe it's your CTA, like all of these things. So those are KPIs that would track around that one event. If we are looking at like one STR property, if we are looking at a hotel, are we looking at our STR business, like our co-hosting management company as a whole, what KPIs do we need to be tracking? Well, what is the most important part of the growth? Is the top line revenues, the occupancies, how many properties we actually have, how many sellable nights do we have, where are we getting most of our leads, where are we getting most of our bookings from? Is it Airbnb, is it direct, whatever. There's also KPIs that we could, so we have four different sheets that we're going to look at today. I was able to condense 3 totally separate sheets into one sheet so I can send that out to you guys. And then there's another sheet around just like a regular STR, like your tracking stuff, right? But we want to look at like occupancies, last month, this month, forecasting, last year, top line revenue, last month, this month, next month, last year. Are we trending up? Are we trending down? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? Hotels and the business KPI tracker can kind of be the same. Like you can edit what you want. Then like we bought a new property. Let's say we bought a new property and we just built this like back in March or April for one of the hotels that we bought and we took over. And we just wanted to see like where we are in comparison of the owner last year, right? That's not something like everybody has just laying around as far as KPI tracker, but like we started playing with this idea of like, are we ahead? Are we behind? What about bookings? Like, what about this? What about that? So I actually took that KPI tracker, if you will, copied it and put it inside this template that I'm going to send you guys. So anything that helps us, and even if it's like a weird, like one-off, hey, let's just make this table, whatever, you're going to track KPIs separately for different parts of your business, but also in different parts of your journey. So like we at one point tracked KPIs for employees. We're like, hey, if we get to 10 or 12 employees, we know like all of these other things have happened. It's not a KPI that I would really track, but like we did, and we ended up deleting it later. So, and then, but yeah, so we're going to go through this. If you guys have any questions or like certain KPIs that you don't know, like maybe you should be tracking, maybe you shouldn't, throw them in the chat. We'll talk about them. Like if you have a question, like I'll answer it. But I really want to get this to you guys and make sure, like, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business, right? If you don't know where you're trending, how do you know if you really have a business that, that's thriving or sustaining? Let's see. Whoever's on here right now that's with me, are you co-hosting? Do you own a property or do you own a hotel? Or maybe you have a different business too, like that you want to track KPIs. Like, what are the three things? Like STR, management, like owned, managed, or hotel. If you want to throw that in to like figure out where you're tracking what you want to track, throw it in there. At the same time, I'm going to be sharing my screen real quick. And I want to make sure we hit the right thing first. And then we'll go from there. So give me just a second. I'll share my screen. Let's see. Present my screen. Here we go. All right. I think everybody can see this. So we got STR management. We got co-hosting STR. I know Logan may be going towards the hotel, or he will eventually. Dan, are you looking at any hotels? I think you've probably got like 40 or 50 STRs that you're managing, right? Something like that. Maybe a couple more. I can't remember. Just curious if you're going to go for hotels or not. So this is one of like this is the Mac Daddy sheet here, but this is just if you have like one STR. This is very, I don't want to say low level, but it is very basic, right? Like it's very basic. It just is a good, it is a good way to trend. And like we have so many different ways we've been tracking for like all through the years, but like this is a really good one just to see where we're at, right? So if we start like low level and then go high level, so this KPI template's here, it's got 3 trackers in one. I combine them all, but I just want to start here, okay? So bear with me. If this isn't for you and you want to see something higher level, cool. But we're going to start like lower level and we're going to go right here. So if you just want to know, you have one STR, maybe you have 2, and you're like, I just want to see like, am I moving in the right direction? I don't know. I have to pull all these reports and like owner as a guestee, whatever. If you're going to run like quote unquote, I don't say a full P&L, right? This is not to run P&Ls. We have P&Ls too, but like this is just to see, is the property performing? Like, am I trending up? Am I trending down? Then I would use something like this. This is very basic, okay? So your month of the year, and then it's going to average everything. So how many nights booked did we have? So let's just say we had 25 nights booked. So in January, we had an 80% occupancy. Then we have gross income. That's like collected everything. And so that's clean fees. That's everything, okay? Everything that's come in. And then we have our net. Now, if you have a property that's with a manager, which I don't think anybody really here is having a management company manager, you would take that out after your net. But we want to kind of see like, if you get really nitty gritty, again, this is just a basic sheet that I just want you guys to know and have. If you look at if you want to get nitty gritty, depending on your occupancy, depending on your length of stay, your gross and your net have a smaller delta. On the longer stays, you'll have a smaller delta. You'll bring home more money because you won't pay as much money in clean fees. If you identify that here, if you like really start like looking and comparing and you start knowing your numbers, something will start sticking out and you say, oh my God, like why did I take home only $1,000 less in this month than this month I took home $3,000 less? Like that's something that's going to kind of like pinpoint like, you know, I'm having better stays or I'm having less clean fees, something like that. So you'll just fill all this out. And this is just this is baseline, right? So maybe you didn't launch until like June of 2024, 2023, whatever. You'll just fill it in through there. What'll happen is you'll go to 2024 or the next year and you'll start filling that out too. And then we'll go into the last page and you can start seeing comparisons. Okay. So you're going to fill out like 23 or whatever, 24 to 25. And then we're going to say, okay, comparison year over year, here's your revenue. So year over year, are you trending up? Are you trending down? Okay. So then you have a change in revenue, change in occupancy. So a lot of the stuff's already built out for you. And of course, like there may be something weird that you're like, oh, I'd really love to see this. Then just add it. Then just build it. Okay. Like that's just how you build these really big templates over the years, because you add this, you take this out, you don't even use this anymore, and you build out. Okay. But also when you go through a refinance, so like if you own this property and you go through a refinance and they're going to say, well, what did you do this year? What did you do that year? Are you forecasting? What about the change? If they see the trend up, they're going to love it. lenders love the trend up, especially SBA. Like we're doing some stuff with SBA. SBA loves to see the trend up, and then you're forecasting. So you could use this to show like, hey, I'm actually year over year pretty good. And it'll help you understand like, hey, for some reason in October or September, we're like super, super low. Why is that? I don't know. So let's look at our pricing. Let's look at our price labs. Let's look at our restrictions and all that. So you can kind of see too, like you can add in here what the market looks like. So you're trending with the market. Are you uptrending? Are you downtrending? Are you there? Are you meeting baseline? And this will give you kind of an idea of like, hey, you need to be paying attention to where you are. Now, if you had a couple of properties, you said, hey, I just want to track like the whole company. Where are we tracking occupancy, nights booked, whatever? What are we bringing in gross? What are we bringing in net? You could do that too. If you had a couple of properties, I wouldn't go like to the moon with a bunch of stuff in this like one sheet, but this is really good for people who have one property, maybe two properties. If you have a couple of owned properties that you wanted to trim and just track where you're at. This is a really, really, really like intro to KPI sheet. That's where this is really good, okay? I've seen some KPI sheets, revenue management sheets that are so complex that I don't even understand them. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, turn it off, delete it. Don't ever send this to me again. This is ridiculous. We want to get something that makes sense to you, right? Don't care where you're at. Don't care how high level you are. Maybe you only want to track 1 or 2 KPIs. Then track them, right? You don't have to track 27 of them. All right, so I hope this makes sense. But this is like very basic. I will send this to you guys too. This is like you're starting out. This is where I would be. Now, if you look at your business, so this tracker, this KPI tracker, can be used for your business. You can alter this for your management company or for a hotel. It doesn't matter. You can add and take away. When we first started using this KPI tracker, we tracked how many employees we had, how many doors we had. I think we tracked how many hotels we had. We tracked, just all sorts of stuff. We're just tracking everything. And we realized like a lot of stuff doesn't make any sense. So this tracker I actually got from like an old mentor of mine, and we just changed a ton of stuff. Changed it, edited it. We took some stuff away. We added some different stuff, and we altered this and made this say like, okay, what are the most important things for the hotel? What are the most important things for STR? For management. And this is very, very, very similar to both. You can just change some names and it'll still edit out the same way. We have another Excel file, which I'm not going to give you guys. It's more for like just internal, like does it make sense, does it not? We used to really track like this is actually something you should track. And I should actually pull this up. So I take that back. I'll take my foot back out of my mouth. I should give you this because I think it would be super beneficial because I'm asking a lot of people. We're auditing a lot of stuff right now with a couple of people. What does this property make? What is your management fee? What is the cleaning fee? Are you making any money? What does this property make? So you're breaking down like every property. I have a full Excel file that we track every month to see what our safely fee is, what our management fee is, what the cleaning fee is, what the gross income is, what the taxes are, all that stuff. So that is it's not a KPI tracker. It's just a report, I guess a progress report, if you will, every month. So it's not really a KPI because we're not tracking like we need to be higher or lower. It's just an end of month like report. So maybe I should actually pull that out and turn it into a template and send it out to you guys. So, but anyways, all right, let's get back to this. So we're tracking like everything, okay? Now, if we start looking at this as a hotel versus a management company, for a hotel, we're looking at like how many rooms, maybe you're like hotel management. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter. We can do STR company at the same time. Total rooms or total properties, like total listings. Maybe you have a goal of 30 or 50 or 100 or whatever. So you'll have like 20, 25 goals broken down into quarters. So you have January, February, March, and Q1, and then it will do a summation. And you can look at the quarter, like where are you at in a quarter? Where are you at the end? Are you on pace? Like every month you're gonna say, are you on pace or do you have a deficit? Do you need to be adding more? Where are we at? And then Q1 closed up. Where did we end up? And so when we look at this, we say, okay, total rooms on the hotel side or total properties, what the goal is. So you have the goal for Q1, and then the actuals will like do a summation. And then you have your gross revenue. So like 2025 gross revenue, let's say it's 500K. Well, in Q1, we need to be doing 125,000. So again, you could do that for STR company. You could do that for a hotel, like, because a hotel is a business, an STR company is a business. So we're running this as a business. There's a little bit of, a few quirks here and there, but like overall, this is a really great template to use. Okay. Now this is a new one for me. Last month's deficit. So I hired a revenue manager. She was really big on the hotel side in the Philippines for a flagship hotel. And I originally didn't have a deficit tracker in here. And she said, hey, like if we don't meet our goal in January, we have to take that deficit and we have to roll it into February. And now February goal just went up. Or we roll it and split it between February and March. Because if it's unrealistic, of course, then we just need to split it. Because you can't be like 10 grand behind and be like, hey, we need to increase 10 grand next month. It's better to do 5K and 5K between February and March. I was like, hey, that's a really great point. Like that is a really good point. If we are going to track and keep pushing with forecasting, it kind of creates that whole conversation of like, what can we do to do a little bit better, right? Like what can we do to, what could we do to push? What could we do to increase our efforts, whatever. So having that deficit just carry over every month and figure out what we need to do. So tracking a deficit, like, hey, our goal is 125,000 for the month. Our goal is $40,000 for $40,000 for the month. We hit 30. Why? So then we're behind 10K. So let's split it. So we got to do 5K and 5K. Carrying that through and understanding that deficit that we're behind will light a fire so you could keep going in the right direction. Okay. Now, so gross revenue is a big KPI that you need to be looking at. So if it's gross revenue for a hotel, gross revenue for an STR, single STR, or gross revenue for your management company, you have got to track those. No question, period. Okay. Because what leads your business is your gross revenue. Period, end story. Now, once we say, okay, well, we're going to track gross revenue, but we also want to track like where that income's coming from. So you could be making money on design. You could be making money on tech fees. You could be making money on safely fees or insurance fees. You can be making money on all those things, and that could be a KPI that you want to track just to see where all of your income's coming in. Now, that's more of like a P&L thing, but if you're like, hey, I want to hit $10,000 a month in design fees or design, consulting fees, then cool. Then start tracking it. And so we say, how many deals did we do and how much money are we bringing in off of design? You could track both of those and say, I want a goal of 10K, but I'm like averaging 2 and 3 and 4, but I'm only doing 1 deal a month. Okay. Well, like, how do we do 2 deals a month? How do we do 3 deals a month? So that's a KPI that you could track. And that's going to be specific for your design company. Like, just to be clear, that's going to be specific for that design. So you might have to build another tracker that's just a couple of points. And you're like, hey, as long as I understand where I'm at, I know understand where I need to go. So it's not something you need to add here. Like, I think that's why KPIs are so confusing for a lot of people. It's like they don't know what to track, but they also don't know where they're going. So they don't know what the goals are. You have to understand what the goal is for the company. You have to understand what the goal is for that business in order to set up the KPIs to track it. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So we have that, and then we have like, okay, we want to see where our bookings are coming from. So if it's direct, like hotels, we want to be 50% direct, and then 50% everything else, like Airbnb, Expedia, Booking.com, Agoda. And we want to kind of see like where are those coming from. So our target is 50% occupancy direct, 50% everything else. In order to track that, we have to understand how many nights a month are available to sell, how many rooms we have to rent. And this could be the same for your management company too. How many properties do we have? How many days we're in the month? So if we look at this and say we have 35 properties, there's 31 days in the month. Well, that's 29, it's 2,790 days actual to rent. And our target is 50%. So our goal is 50%, but the actual was, 30%. So those are just high level numbers. And then we could do the formulas and say, okay, what is like how many nights, and we have to run some reports. How many nights did we actually book through Agoda? How many nights did we actually book through Airbnb? How many nights did we actually book through Expedia? You'd run these reports like in your PMS, and you would just populate, okay, these are the nights that we produced, and then your formulas would run. Well, we had, I was just playing with this earlier, but like if this was 500, you're like, okay, 40% direct booking, 17% Airbnb. Like the formulas would just fall in. But you have to know like your high level stuff. And this is a VA or somebody could just run your report and just plug in your numbers. And then you have your KPI meeting to say, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're going. Sweet. Then you have your total occupancy, and then you could do your RevPAR. So you could track that January, February, March, and then do your summations on your actuals. So again, it depends on what you're trying to grow. Like you're trying to grow co-hosting, you could do listings, you could do doors, you could do, you absolutely, no question, have to do your top line revenue. There's no question. Top line revenue and occupancy. Those two things you have to track somehow, somewhere. I don't care where. And these three sheets will give you a different way to do it in all these different trackers. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I really hope this isn't like too much, but this may be like, oh, that's it? Like, yes, that's it. We just need to figure out how to track it, to be honest. Like, don't overcomplicate this. So I've used this exact tracker for multiple different businesses with multiple different teams. Like this is a really good tracker to set up, and you'll build your colors if you want to. Like you can make it pretty. I don't really care. And after you do like Q1, you can hide all these columns. Now you're on Q2. Like, did you hit your goals for Q1? Now you're on Q2. And here's your actuals. Here's where you want to be. Here's your yearly goal. Now you're forecasting. Like this creates that environment for you to be able, and it can be fun. Like this forces you to create that environment for you to forecast, because forecasting is huge for forecasting. Where do you want to be this time next year? What is the goal for 2026? What is the goal for 2025? Balance 2025. All right. So hope I haven't lost anybody yet, but here we go. So that's tracker. This KPI tracker number 1. KPI tracker number 2. I'll just make sure there's not any like crazy information, because I literally just copied this and pasted inside. I'm not even going to say where this is coming from or anything like that. This is a tracker. We bought a hotel and we started tracking where they've been, right? If you buy a business, you buy a management company, you need to have something just like this, okay? So we have month-to-date bookings for this year and last year, okay? So this is month-to-date bookings. So whatever is booked June 1st to June 25th, how many bookings have come in? And what is the value of those bookings? Okay. So that's your first table that we started tracking. We just built this. One of the partners built this like super quick, so we have our weekly meeting for this hotel. We just wanted to see where we're at, right? Are we ahead of the old owner? Are we ahead of last year? Or is what we're doing, is it working? Right? Because we have to know. We have a target to hit. And then we have the next table down is, this is the year to date. So this is a summation. So this is a summation of like last month where we ended plus month to date. So this plus this equals this. How many reservations have we had? Where did the month end with the old owner? So like we're super ahead. We're like 40K, I think 45K ahead of the old owner this time last year. Like this is almost to date. This was Monday. Updated Monday. And then we have the actual check-ins for like grossing in that 1 month, which hotels are a little different. Your STR companies is pretty much the same, but you look at it's an accrual basis month to month to month to month. So how much, did come in that month, and then which would be this, and then you have like how many check-ins did we have for this month, right? Your check-ins is what we're tracking too. So like in June last year, it was $67,000 in reservations for June. Right now, to date, there's $78,000 in check-ins. So we're ahead. We're 10K ahead. This was a week ago. This was Monday. Or not a week ago. What's today? Wednesday? This was 2 days ago. Okay. And we get about 10 or 15 bookings a day on this property. So this would be really good for you to see, like, I just bought this management company. I just launched this hotel. I just launched this STR, whatever. You could use the same thing for the STR too. Like, you wanted to change this back and say, well, what are we getting bookings for this one property? Like, this is a more microscope in of like, I want to see the performance. And you can copy this and do this 100 times. I want to see the performance of this business or this hotel. That's what this is for. Okay. So again, I hope I haven't lost anybody, but this first table is booked month to date. So from June 1st to June 25th, that's just booked reservations, because we could be booking for like October or July or whatever. That's this month booked. And then we have a running total, which is a summation, sum of above for the year. And then we have actual reservation monthly check-ins right here. Okay. So just FYI. And then, okay, I actually love this sheet, to be honest. I built this like 2 years ago, and I just updated. This is really good for like if you have a property that is that has to have really good forecasting on, that you need to see down to the RevPAR. This is just another way to track your KPIs. So just to be honest, like, it's another way. And you may find that this way works really well. I do this for one hotel specifically because I send out investor reports for this hotel. And what happens is I want to see really quickly certain key metrics of like where we're going and where we're at. And so when I do that, I say like, okay, this property launched, and I'll just give you a very like real example. This property launched in December, and it did 15.8 just for the first month that we launched. Okay. And then we're kind of coming into slow season. So then in 2024, in January, we did 12.5, which is crap. Okay. But this is like second month open, which is crap. So then February, we said, and I want you to pay attention and stay with me, because there's a point in here that is super, super important when you track your key metrics and you understand what's happening, because then you can put a reason behind certain things. So we went 15, 12.5, 13, 16, 31, 31, 32, 34. So we're trending all the way up. But here in September, we went from 43 to 24. And then we went back to 49. So we did 50K in October. But why in the world are we doing half here? Right? That doesn't make any sense. Well, we had a pricing problem. So understanding that and your metrics that you're following, we had a pricing issue. So then we went back up to 49, went back down to 25, and we were struggling here because we're having a pricing problem. Now, through this, we can see, okay, well, does your ADR, if your ADR drops, does your occupancy go up? If your ADR goes up, does your occupancy drop? And this is really important. Like if you're trending like STR or a group of STRs or a management company, whatever, this is specifically for a hotel. Or maybe you have like a super high grossing property, like a big lodge that does $20,000 a month or whatever. You can track this and you can use this, and you can say, okay, well, like rentable nights. So it has number of rooms available, days in the month, rentable nights. And what the formulas come down, we say, okay, what is our ADR? Well, you could see that our ADR in August at 43K was 204, which is crazy. But our occupancy was only 29%, which is crap. And our RevPAR was $58. Well, then we drop it here in September. We drop our ADR here, and our occupancy was 25%. So that doesn't really make much sense, right? There was a lot of things we were figuring out right here. We had a couple of things. So we had some pricing problems, and we also had some booking.com issues. But we identified what happened, okay? So what happened is like our ADR went down some more. Our occupancy went down again. So we had this like crap of like what is going on kind of deal. So we figured it out. We started trending back up. Okay, so we 24% year over year increase from 15K to 19K. Then we're tracking 19, 20, and then we dropped to 14. Like, are you kidding me, right? So we're tracking this stuff. We're trending. We're tracking our KPIs. We understand what's going on. And we realized that we did 14, which is negative 12% of the year prior. And we did 24, which is 18% negative of the year prior. 27%, which is 10% negative of the year prior. Okay, this is May. We hired a revenue manager right here. And I said, here you go. And if you see, our occupancy was, kind of staying around the 30, and then we dropped our ADR, and our occupancy didn't really go up. And it's almost like too low of an ADR. People think it's a crap hotel. So we identified this, right? We've been trending this, and we've been tracking this. We identified this. And then the ADR kind of came up and the occupancy came up. But then she went down to $99 in ADR and went to 36%, which is fine. But we're still 10% behind last year. You don't know this and you don't realize this until you start tracking these metrics and start tracking your total gross, what your year-over-year change is, what your days in, you got to have the days in the month and rentable nights, what your ADR, what your occupancy. So you could see if it's a direct reflection of ADR went up, occupancy soared through the roof. ADR went up or ADR went down, occupancy goes up, ADR goes up, occupancy goes down. There is a trend there that you have to find whenever you launch an STR or a hotel or whatever. Yes, you have a higher ADR, but your occupancy goes up, goes down, which you'll make more. You should make more money on your RevPAR, but if you're not paying the bills, it doesn't matter. Okay. So we have to know where this makes sense. So we ended up letting her go. I took back over the pricing for June, and we are on track to do, I think, 40K this month, which is awesome. We did 32 last month. We've already hit 32. We're on track to do, I think 40. So, but you don't know that until you go through it. And then you have projected income 2026. So we started renting out some office space, which is here. And then the SBA wants to see this actually. That's why we created the 2026 projected on this side. And I actually just emailed all of this over to him so he can see all this. But if you're not tracking this stuff, how are you going to get lending? How are you going to increase your income? How are you going to know what to do and what levers to pull to make sure you're trending in the right direction? But also, if we just look back and said hey, I'm not really tracking this, and then we realize 14, 24, 26, and we're well, we don't really know what happened because we're not paying attention. You will lose confidence in what you're doing. You'll be oh, I just got to sell this thing. It's a loser. No, it's because you don't know what you're looking at. Where focus goes, energy flows. And if we're focused on our KPIs that move the needle in our companies, then you will be successful because you have to have the awareness of what's going on. So these are your 3 trackers. Again, here's your first one. So if you're tracking KPIs for your management company, gross revenue, listings, because then you could kind of get to how much money you're making per listing. Track your deficit if you're behind your goals. And then all of your occupancy. Where are your people coming from? Those are your top ones to track for an STR management company. For an STR specifically, occupancy, gross revenue, and then if you track your net revenue after your clean fees, if you're paying a manager, any fees that you have with that property, what you're actually bringing home before your debt service, then it's important to track that. Okay, it's not a P&L. This is just you fill out your P&L, you see gross, you see lower, you see expenses, then you come back here and you just say, I want to know where we're trending. I want to know where we're tracking. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Again, if you're pushing emails, you could track KPIs around emails. If you're trying to do promos, you could track KPIs around promos. You can track KPIs around reviews. I just don't think it's worth the brain power to do that. Not to see what's moving the needle for your company. Now, if you have an employee and you're well, how do I track KPIs around my employee? I got this question twice this week. How do I track the KPI around my one employee? Good question, right? How do you know if your employee is that person on your team is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, or if they're good at it? So how do you do that? Great question. Well, first we have to identify what are all of their roles, right? We don't want to be a micromanager. What are the roles that they have, right? Maybe it's lead generation. Maybe it's reviews. Maybe it's, guest communications. Maybe it's, let's just say a traditional VA does guest communications, respond to reviews. They answer, of course they assist you. They do owner statements, whatever. Those are all busy to do work tasks. There's really not any KPIs around that, right? To see you're doing great. It's more of you're not, putting out fires all the time. You alleviate some of your time. So there's not really a KPI to track. It's more of like a temp check. Like, hey, are you doing your job? Do you like your job? Are you okay? Now, if you put somebody on your sales side, you say, hey, we're going to track KPIs around your sales, and they're going to go out there and get midterm rental leads. Well, we need to track like how many phone calls are they making? How many people are they talking to? How many deals are they signing? How much money are they bringing in? What is the revenue that's landed through those deals? Those are the KPIs I would track there. If you have somebody that is helping you with design work and trying to get lead gen through design work, same thing. Lead gen, how many people are you contacting? How many people are you talking to? How many people are you closing? What is the amount of revenue that you've generated? What size houses? You could track that. What kind of type of house, what type of projects. So you don't have to put a KPI around every employee or on every task. It's a waste of time. You do have to track your KPIs around your gross revenue, your occupancy, or you could do KPIs around claims. You could do a KPI around a claim of like how much money have we filed in claims? How much money have we actually received and benefited through claims? And if you see a big delta there, then you want to know why. Is it a certain property that's not going through? Is it a certain method that somebody is not submitting correctly? Like you can actually like go in and diagnose and cherry pick out the problems. Maybe it's a certain type of claim that's not getting approved. So you can identify that. So you could stop doing that because you're losing money, right? You could do KPIs around views on your listing, how many people are converting, how much money you're making, what pages you're on. Like, I don't think that's really worth it, but you can. I don't have a tracker for that, but you can do that, I guess. At the end of the day, it's your top line. At the end of the day, it's your top line revenue. If you're building a following, you can track a KPI around how many followers you have, right? If you're trying to really increase your Instagram or your Facebook following, how many views you're having, how many follows you're having, how many content. Like if you have this is great. I got you. If you have a social media person that is pushing a lot of your socials, I would track KPIs around that. My KPIs would be how many posts are we doing? What's the topic? What's our followers? How many likes did we have? How many views did we have? And what time of day that worked, right? It probably wouldn't look like this KPI tracker, but it would be something like some kind of media tracker. If you're doing emails out to people, it would look something like this. Let's see if I can open this up. You could do something like this. So here is a tracker for emails. So this is our Monday motivation email that goes out. And here's our subjects. Here's the day we send it. Number of emails sent. How many people opened it. How many people clicked through it. So this would be like technically a KPI tracker, if you will, for all of the emails. So you could do this for socials. You could do this for your promos. Like if you have, you're trying to send out promo deals and you're like, hey, I want to see, I don't know, how many people are actually opening the email for summer promo. Well, you could do this. What day are you sending it? What is your, how many people are getting it? How many people are opening it? How many people are clicking on it, like clicking through it? So these are all KPIs that you can track. Absolutely. For us, for training, like for these trainings, we want to see what helps people the most. So we'll track it. Like we send out knowing your KPIs. I don't have a metric for that. But like maximizing your revenue, like how many people opened it, how many people clicked through it, because we want to see what is actually benefiting you guys and what are people actually interested in. So we'll track all that. We track all that. So just FYI, like if you're doing something that is going to move the needle or you're going to put your energy in something to grow, then you need to track something around it. You need to have a KPI that tracks around it. And it may just be how many people opened your email. How many stays did we have? How much of our direct bookings did we actually get? Or how much of our occupancy do we actually get through direct bookings? Maybe you have 0 direct booking rate and your occupancy is 40%. And you need to increase your direct booking rate. And you're sending out emails or you're creating a website or you're doing SEO, you're doing ads. Cool. But in order to know that, we have to be able to know what we're tracking. We have to be able to track it. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, there's multiple KPI sheets. There's multiple templates. There's multiple ways to follow what you're, to track where you're going and what you want. All of that is very, I don't want to say up to you, but it's like whatever makes sense to you, let's start tracking it. So I can send out this template that has all three of these different types of templates and trackers in it. And then you can modify it and alter it. But this would be a really good starting point. And then, of course, I have this one. So if you have one STR and you just want to track your revenue just to see where you're at, just to see side by side where you compare to last year, the market, whatever, I could send this out to you as well. So just let me know. Drop KPI in the comments. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, send it to me. Like, shoot me a DM, or you can put it here. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments. Let's see here. Oh, cool. I got 12 comments on here, and I can only see 4. So that's awesome. Let me see if I can open this up. Somebody did comment KPI earlier. I just don't know. There we go. Co-hosting, SEO management, own and co-hosting. Jeremy Udovic. Somebody said KPI. Yeah, Jeremy Udovic. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. I got you. Oh, you know what? Dan's in Wisconsin too. So Jeremy and Dan, you guys got to link up. Let's see. All right, Jeremy, I'll shoot you a DM with the links to these. Udovic, I'll shoot you a link to these, and if anybody else wants them, either shoot me a DM or just comment here and I'll get it, or tag me in it. I'll get it. So, but I hope this was helpful to everybody here. I really want to. Logan? No, you can't have it, Logan. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I'll send it to you. So, anything I can do to help as we grow together. And especially if there's something I could do for you, just let me know. Now, if you are really, you're looking to take the business to the next level and you're like, hey, I'm tracking this stuff, or, I really don't know. Maybe I got some properties that are losing money. You got some, we were doing audits on arbitrage and co-hosting. So we've been auditing a lot of portfolios. If you need help with that to figure out what's working, what's not, let me know. We can set up a call. We can just jump on and I can try to assist you the best way I can. Shoot me a DM and we'll book that. And if you guys need anything at all, I'll stay on Guesty then. Okay. I got to get you my referral link. I got to build that pyramid of owner-res referral links, that $1.50 a month. $1.50 a month, I got to have it. So, all right, that's an inside joke, I think, for me, Logan, and probably Jill. I don't know. But anyways, if you need anything, let me know. If you want to deep dive into your portfolio or you want to keep growing, you want to just take it to the next level, let me know. I can help you there. That's what we do. If you're trying to buy a hotel, let me know. And I'm here for you. So if you need anything, let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a great week. And adios.